When do big walleyes do their thing? From dusk to dawn, huge fish that few anglers imagine exist rule the water. The finest example of their species, surviving the longest, exhibit one of their most distinguishing traits: a nocturnal existence. In order to understand walleye, we must study the big ones, and that means night fishing.
Got one?
Yeah, got one, Al. Feels like a pretty decent fish. That was on that floating Rapala.
Okay, I'm pulling in on mine.
Okay.
I'll tell you one thing, this tournament net that you guys carry, I can reach out here about, I don't know, what, about 10 feet?
There, yeah.
Get that fish. Look at the size of that net.
You got
Look
it.
at the size of that net.
Look
Oh,
at this.
nice fish.
Now you tell me night fishing.
Whew.
If you can
Get
read.
her in here, Mark. Okay. All right. I got her.
Got him?
I got her.
Tell me
Oh,
night
man.
fishing doesn't get the big fish.
Look at
no
that,
matter,
baby. Get her out of here, man.
People would kill over this right now. I always tell people that at night you can catch bigger fish than you can in the daytime on no matter what body of water, and that's a dandy right there.
That's a good way to start, I'll tell you that.
That's a good way to start, isn't it, Al?
Well, let me
Boy.
get the, go ahead, put her back and I'll.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of plugs you can use at night, but I guess day in and day out, if it's all said and done, the standard number 11 or number 13 Rapala has probably accounted for more walleyes over 8 pounds than any lure ever made. Ever made. How much line should I let out on this about, Mark?
You want to at least, I had 78 feet out on this last one.
All right.
Speed control is very critical. A lot of people like to troll too fast with these short-lipped baits like these floating Rapalas. I try to just move along and just kind of, what I'm really doing is putting most of the action with my arm and my hand into the lure. I'm just transporting the boat from spot to spot. What I'm doing here is what I call is horizontal jigging motion with my Rapala back here as I pull it forward and drop back, pull it forward, drop it back. And there's a slight pause in there just before I pull it forward again. And I always hold my rod upside down because after all night long, that level wind reel wants to turn over and it gets to be a little tiring. So it also allows me to have my finger on the line right there to feel those subtle little bites, because you're gonna have the bites that are gonna feel just like a perch or bluegill. It's not gonna be no hard charging muskie or bass type hit while you're cranking.
You know, in any kind of fishing, your choice of equipment is really important. Night fishing for walleyes like this, pulling plugs, the best way to go is a good free spool bait casting rod and reel combination. 8 to 10 pound test XT is recommended. Good free spool reel, 6 to 7.5 foot rod, medium action rod, something that definitely has some give. And Mark, why don't you talk about seasonal movements of fish as far as location goes, what to look for?
The seasons play an important role on where you're going to find the fish. They're going to be in the spring and fall time. They're going to be relating to shelves, but the shelves are quick shelves that taper right to deep water. And summertime, when it gets warmer, your longer tapers will scatter out over the flats and feed a lot more. Them are some of the better areas that I look for. But things that I really key on is rocky, riprap shorelines. It seems to always be the best for me in most instances. And
you know, we're concentrating here in about 5 to 10 foot of water along these shore areas here, and we're adjusting our shot weight and our length of line out so that this Rapala is about a foot above the bottom. Now, there's parts of North America and a lot of deep, clear Canadian shield lakes that got lake trout in them, as an example, where I know a lot of guys that are trolling in the middle of summer, July, August nights with big Rapalas flatline trolled over 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 foot of water, just catching giant walleyes, the biggest walleyes that live in those systems. Mark bases his crankbait selection on a number of factors: mainly water clarity, wave action, and moon intensity. In clear water or a full moon condition, he uses smaller baits. In dark water conditions or a dark moon or clear water with heavy wave action, he uses larger lures or plastic body baits with rattles in them to help the fish tune into the bait. Interestingly, the color is generally the same. It's a dark back with a white belly. Now, the rapala in itself is a deadly walleye bait, no question about it. But the addition of these little phosphorescent like spots on the eyes and on the tail, and Mark even runs a little prism tape down the side, and he says there's no question that day in and day out, if you pull a bait that looks like that, you're going to get more and bigger fish. And from your success, I'm not going to question it, man. Mark, you've guided and fun fished at night for over 14 years now. How many fish over 6 pounds would you guess you've caught?
Oh, thousands of them, Al. It's uncountable. It's amazing how many fish that you can catch on a body of water, even those bodies of water that don't normally hold the big old trophy walleyes. People, they say, well, they catch a 5-6 pounder on their lake during the daytime, and boy, you know, that's maybe a handful of times during the year. At night, that's weekly occurrence. You catch maybe dozens of them on the particular lakes that I guide along the Great Lakes. Fish over 6 pounds you'd always get them over every night. Fish over 10 pounds, that's probably a few times a week. All right.
Yeah, I got him, Mark. Got him.
Okay.
Look at that old moon. It's just tucking behind the trees. There's no question, as far as that night fishing goes, you concentrate on that big old full moon like that, or that dark moon stage, and it happens a couple times a month, you're gonna really up your odds in that night bite. And Mark, I don't know, you were telling me earlier, you've been guiding walleyes at night for 14 years, and he's had so many fish over 10 pounds. It's incredible. Night fishing for walleyes is unquestionably the best way to catch a true trophy fish. And I don't care what body of water you're on in North America. You want to catch the biggest fish that swim in your system? Start putting Mark's night fishing techniques to use on your water, and you could catch the fish of a lifetime.